On tonight's episode of 2 Cups, 1 Bourbon, we are cracking open a bottle of
Weller's Antique 107. Stay tuned. Hey guys, welcome to our channel. I'm Dustin.
And I'm Danielle.
And we want to talk bourbon.
Lots of bourbon.
Yeah. What we're going to be doing with the show is pretty much taste testing all bourbons. We'll put some bourbons up head to head and see which ones we like better. Not just Kentucky bourbons, but bourbons from all around the United States. Danielle's definitely going to do some more educational pieces on the background of bourbon, Kentucky bourbon.
We're going to have some fun with this. I like bourbon. We like bourbon hunting for a multitude of different reasons. Number one, we love to drink it. I think it's in every true Kentuckian's blood that you love to drink good bourbon. But there's so many other facets to bourbon. There's the history of the bourbon. There's the looks of the bottle. There's the appeal of it, the smell, the taste. And we want to do more than most traditional channels do. And they're great. We're not taking anything away from those. But we want to put our own spin on the things that we love the most about it. And that's the entire bourbon experience. Not just how it tastes, but everything that goes into what makes a true Kentucky bourbon great, and explore all those different aspects and give some true feedback on how we feel. I like giving a female perspective on it because there's not a lot of women who dabble in the bourbon world. And so I think it's a fun opportunity to make women more comfortable. Instead of your husband going into the liquor store and picking out a bourbon, women should be empowered to go into the liquor store and pick out a great bourbon because they know what's in it and they know what to expect from the taste and they know a little bit about it. So I think it's going to be fun to give everyone an opportunity to be educated about what true Kentucky bourbon is and why we love it.
And it's not just Kentucky bourbon. I have several bourbons from Utah, Colorado, what was that one I just picked up? Nevada. And some of it's not actually what you would classify as true bourbons because it might have been finished in a non-oak barrel or finished in an oak barrel and then double finished in a wine barrel. So, but we're not going to hold to that too much. We are pretty much anything that's bourbon and close to bourbon. We're gonna drink it. We're gonna try it. We're gonna try to inform you about it. Of course, you know, we're trying to build the channel, so make sure you like, subscribe, comments.
Questions?
We'll answer any questions, any comments that we see on the next episode. We'll go through them. We'll try to respond as quick as we can. And as far as bourbon goes, as far as my background on bourbon, I just like to drink it. And I'm actually just a backstory on me. I'm from Central Kentucky, so we're heart of bourbon country. I mean, you know, Kentucky's the bourbon capital of the world. Bardstown is the bourbon city of the world, which is where she's from. She's from Bardstown, so she grew up with bourbon in a bottle.
That's right.
So we'll get started here, and like we said earlier, the first one that we're going to try is the Weller Antique 107. I have not tried this yet.
I have not tried it yet. We have tried other Wellers, but
yeah,
not this one.
Yeah, and even the ones that we have tried, we're going to go back over them because the older we get, the more in tune we are to taste and quality. To where when we was younger, we was just drinking this stuff just to get plowed and
True story.
Wasn't worried about the taste. So we're going to give an in-depth. We're pretty much going to vote on it, pretty much. So the way that we're going to do ours is, I know a lot of people don't do it, but it's something that I really like, and I know she really likes, is the presentation in the bottle. Now, I know that doesn't really mean a lot to a lot of people. They would rather it be the good bourbon inside, but presentation on a bottle means a lot to us. So the way we'll do it, presentation on the bottle, we'll score 1 through 5, 1 being the worst, 5 being the best, why you scored it. Second, it's going to be the nose after we pour it, you know, the smells that we get, the notes, and then the taste. And then we're going to try to describe the taste, and then after that, we're going to do the finish. And also, I like mine neat. She's more of a cocktail girl. So
I love them.
I like a cocktail too every now and then, but I prefer mine neat. So we are going to do both. We're going to taste test them neat, and then we're going to taste test them in a cocktail, which will probably be one that I make. It's pretty much like a bourbon sour, but I actually think they call it a New Yorker because you put a little egg white in it and a little red wine. And I will show you guys how to make those. A lot of people don't like using, a good quality bourbon in a mixed drink. I disagree. I think if you want to make a good cocktail, you have to use good ingredients.
Yeah.
And if you have a really good bourbon, it does come through all those, the lemon and the sugar water and syrup, anything. If you have a really good bourbon, it will shine through, and it'll make a really good cocktail. So we are non-biased. We are not partial to anything. We are not sponsored by nobody.
Nope.
Every bit of bourbon behind me, every bit that you're going to see was bought and paid for by us. Yes. None was given to us, so you're going to get our honest opinion on everything. So let's get to it.
Okay, so as we said earlier in this segment, one of my favorite things about bourbon is learning about the education and the backstory of bourbon. So we're going to whine about some bourbon. I love wine. It's my second favorite love. My heart of hearts is with my bourbon, but I love my wine. So, fun little trip through Buffalo Trace history. Buffalo Trace is one of our favorite distilleries because it produces some of the most amazing bourbons ever. Hate me if you don't agree, but it's really true. So, I'm not sure if a lot of people know this, but you can actually take a tour through Buffalo Trace history just by visiting some of these wonderful bottles. So, let's look back at my notes, because I wrote all this down. I don't want to forget anything. So, the very first Buffalo Trace distillery was opened by Harrison Blanton in 1812. And, fun fact, it did not have a name when it opened in 1812. There was no name to it whatsoever. He just started distilling bourbon. He owned it. Thus, we have the Blanton's Bourbon. So, in 1870, that distillery was purchased by E.H. Taylor. This is one of our pride and joys of the collection. Although I will say that out of all of our bottles, the Blanton bottles are my favorite when it comes to this little horse. I live for these little horses. I love them. So purchased in 1870 by E.H. Taylor. He was actually the first person to give the distillery the name. And I can't believe there's not a bourbon named after that. Or if there is and I'm unaware of it, please comment and let me know. But it was first named the Old Fire Copper Distillery. E.H. Taylor. So then, 8 years after E.H. Taylor purchased it, then George T. Stagg came in and purchased the distillery. And in 1886, George Stagg actually installed the first steam-powered climate controller to make the warehouses at Buffalo Trace, the first climate-controlled warehouses for aging whiskey in the nation. Isn't that crazy? So, one more fun fact about Buffalo Trace. When Buffalo Trace actually became Buffalo Trace, everyone went hunting for a Buffalo Trace bourbon. And there wasn't one. That was just the name of the distillery. There was not actually a bourbon named Buffalo Trace. People were writing letters. They were making phone calls. They were like, we want a bottle of Buffalo Trace. And everybody was like, it doesn't even exist. We don't have one. And their PR person was like, maybe we should just make a bottle. And thus the birth of the Buffalo Trace. So this was really made because of a demand by the consumer. They were like, why have a distillery if we don't have a bottle named after it? Which makes total sense to me. So there's your trip through Buffalo Trace history. Blanton's, E.H. Taylor, Stagg, and what we don't know is Buffalo Trace.
All right, guys, to the gentleman of the hour. Weller's Antique 107. 53.5% alcohol by volume. What proof is that?
That makes it 100 and it's double, so 107 proof.
107 proof.
107 proof.
It's a wheated bourbon. It's by Buffalo Trace, of course. It's one of my faves. And she could tell you that. I love Buffalo Trace.
I do love Buffalo Trace.
I picked this one up in Bardstown. I got it for MSRP. What's MSRP on one of these?
$50.
$50. What's secondary price on it?
$200 to $300.
And that's if you're lucky.
If you can find it.
It goes up and down. And the prices are for here. I know if you live in Indiana, I think somebody told me, or Ohio, that Weller's sits on the shelf. If you live in Georgia, you probably never even seen this bottle. It kind of depends on where you're at. And you would think living right in the heart of bourbon country that this stuff would be readily available to us, and it's not. It's really not.
It's so hard to find.
Especially Buffalo Trace. They're the king of allocations. And send me hate mail. They're my favorite, and they deserve to be allocated because it's some of the best bourbon I've ever drunk.
They make some amazing bourbons, yes.
So the way that we're going to do this, we're going to rate them 1 through 5 and then get on our different score scale, and then give a total on it. And it's just our opinion. It doesn't really mean anything to anybody but us. You can comment if you agree with us, if you disagree with us. We like people that disagree with us because it gives us something to talk about. I have not tried this yet, and she has not tried this yet, like we said before. So we're going to try our best to give you all the notes we can. So here we go. Let's crack the top.
So exciting.
I always have a hard time getting these things off.
It breaks my heart to break the seal on a brand new bottle of bourbon, partially because we hunt hard for these. As he was saying, like, this is our own personal collection. We, just like everybody else, we hop in the car and we drive around and we hunt at all these different liquor stores. So to, like, open them, it's like a double-edged sword.
And we're going to try to take the GoPro with us and take you guys along when we do try to go hunt, and for real time to see what we do find, and to kind of see how hard some of this stuff is to get and how easy some of it is to get. It doesn't really hurt my feelings cracking a bottle until it's something that is like a unicorn, like a King of Kentucky. Let's see what else.
It hurts. We have
any kind of the Pappies. I mean, it would break my heart to crack those because I still want to drink them, but it just still breaks your heart to crack a seal on one of those. But after you drink a few of them, your heart's not broke anymore.
You realize it was all worth it. The first pour. And we often talk about, Dustin always says he's much more into he's more of your educational man when it comes to your first experience out of the bottle. Like, he is the nose, he knows everything, and he always talks about how...
I don't know everything.
He knows a lot. But he always says that you're never supposed to judge a bourbon by what comes out of the neck, that it actually tastes better and the flavor increases as you get down in the bottle. So some might say that judging a bourbon from the first couple of pours out of a bottle is slightly unfair to the bourbon because it will take on an entirely different taste and smell as you get down farther in the bottle. And I don't think a lot of people realize that. I personally didn't know it until Dustin educated me about it, because as some of our bottles get lower and lower and lower, they really do change your taste, and I think your taste buds kind of adapt to what's happening with it. But as it gets farther down in the bottle, you're going to get a different taste. So sometimes you don't always get the truest representation of what your taste is going to be just from your neck.
Yeah, it's mainly the neck. It's not all bourbons. Some bourbons taste good from the first crack all the way down to the last sip, and I've had a few. And this right here, Weller's Special Reserve. The first time I tried it, I drunk a couple Glencairns of it, and I mean, I just wasn't having it, and it was super hot going down. And,
my ears were on fire.
I didn't really like the smell.
Totally different heat.
But after we got down into it a little bit, I know she's still up in the air about it, but I really started liking it. Of course, this is one of the cheapest Wellers you can get, but it is growing on me. And I know people that, 5 years ago when they drunk this, they hated it, and now they love it. I mean, your taste buds change, things change. It could have been a different batch in a different part of the warehouse that just changed the flavor a little bit to your liking. I know I really like the ryes. And then some people really like the wheated bourbons. I like them both, but sometimes I'm more partial to rye. because I like the good heat, and I think rye gives me that better heat, the all over warm hug, not just the throat burn. So, as far as the presentation of this bottle,
it's not one of my favorites. But
so go ahead.
I'm a pretty bottle person, okay? We are bourbon hunting. I gravitate. I don't care the price. I don't care where it came from. I don't care who made it. I'm typical female. I see the bright, pretty bottles. I see the cool shapes. I love all of it. So, with that being said, if I did not know what Weller's was, it would be extremely unimpressive to me. If I did not know the quality that was in this bottle, I would probably walk right past it and not give it a second glance. However, with it being in my home, with it being a part of our collection, I appreciate the traditional look of it. It's not flashy. It's very simple. The colors are very traditional, and I can appreciate that. I like the shape of the bottle. It has a nice elongated look. But if you did not know what Weller's was, this is probably not one you would walk past at a liquor store and be like, oh, I have to have that bottle. And for some people, I think it's just like food. You eat with your eyes first. And if a food looks really pretty, they say it's going to taste better. I think if a bourbon looks prettier, I just automatically think it's going to taste better. I know it's not true. It's completely a placebo effect. But again, it's a female thing.
So 1 to 5, what do you rate this bottle's appearance?
2.
2.
2. I really do. I can't help it. It's just not of our collection, it's not one of my favorite looking bottles. It's nice. It's classy. It's simple. I get what they were going for. You don't have to put a bourbon like Weller's in something flashy, but a 2.
I'm gonna go 1 up. I'm gonna go a 3. I like bottles that are a little bit more classy. I like how it kind of starts thin at the bottom, then gets fat, then goes back thin, then gets fat, then goes back thin. I really do like that.
It has an hourglass shape.
Yeah,
it's nice.
And the labeling, it's pretty simple. I like it. I mean, I wouldn't give it a 2. I would put it in the middle of the pack. It's not the worst bottle. It's not the best bottle. But as far as appearance, I'm going to give it a 3. So let's get to the next part. What she smell like?
Ooh. She smells strong.
I definitely get cinnamon.
I smell oak. Straight
Yeah.
oak.
Yeah, I get the oak.
I mean, this oak barrel was a stout oak.
I definitely get the cinnamon and like
Apple.
almost like a melted butter.
Buttery. I like buttery. I smell apple. Do you get any apple at all?
Nope.
Like
no
red apple. Like red delicious apple.
Nope. No apple. No apple.
I
It's
get
got a good
apple.
color too.
It is
It's got
pretty.
like a good, I guess you would call mahogany color, like most bourbons, or I guess you would call them a mahogany. It's a little bit lighter. It's not super dark.
See, it looks like to me a melted butterscotch. Like that is, if you were to melt down a butterscotch candy, that's exactly what this would look like. Not what it smells like though.
All right, so 1 through 5 on smell, and don't go by other bourbons that you've smelled, because
Comparatively
just
speaking.
on this, does it tickle your fancy? Is it middle of the road? Is it just not got any? Are you just searching for smells and they're just not there? How would you rate
You know,
the
I
smell?
think on smell, I would actually give this a 3. Like when I first stuck my nose in it, first of all, I always stick it way too close down to the glass. Dustin always tells me that. He's like, do not stick your nose so far in. Like, too far in.
The best way, and I didn't invent this, I learned this from watching other people, is when you do go to nose your bourbon, is to go as far in as you can, and if it's burning your nose, or you go in as far as you can till it starts, like, you smell the alcohol and it starts burning your nose, then back off just a little bit. And then you turn your head from side to side and kind of use one nose hole to the other, and sometimes you'll get different smells.
But yeah, I would actually give this a 3 because it's actually, but I smell a lot of apple. I know you say you don't get that at all, but I smell like a red delicious apple thing going on. It actually has a really nice smell to it.
Yeah, I would agree with you on the 3. It's not blow my mind smell, but it's just got that good classic bourbon smell.
Yeah, it
Just
is.
a good
It's very
bourbon
classic.
smell.
That is very. It reminds me of growing up, of my grandparents' house being next to the warehouses, and this is what the air constantly smelled like. It's
does.
that classic, traditional.
If you've ever been to Barstown, you know this smell. It's in there everywhere.
It
Then you get up the
permeates
next
air.
morning and go to work, and then you got some kind of film on top of your car that's thick, and
The
it
black
smells
fungus.
just like it.
Yes.
But okay, yeah. So 2 3s for smell. Let's see what she tastes like. I'm definitely getting the cinnamon again.
I'm definitely just getting my ears on fire. It does the same thing. So Weller's, the other Weller's did the same thing to me. It stings my ears. But flavor, I like the flavor of this one a lot more than the other Weller's.
Yeah.
It's still not like blow me away. It's really hard for me to put into words. I always have trouble describing. I like a bourbon with like a deep chesty burn, like the one that just feels like you're getting hugged right in the middle. This feels like it's hugging me in my face. And it's a completely different feeling.
It's different for me. Like, I'm getting that full body warming
It goes
bourbon
right here. Like, I feel like one of those cartoons, like there's smoke coming out of my ears.
The finish is still going for me. Is it still going for you?
It's still
I
on
like
fire.
a good long finish. I want to be
still
able
burning.
for that finish to still be going before I'm ready to take another drink, which I like.
Still there.
As far as taste, it's a middle of the road pack for me. It'd be a 3. Just from what other things that I've drunk and I know what I'm looking for. Just me personally, I'd put it at the middle of the road, about a 3 on the taste.
I'm going to give it like a 2.5. It's not my favorite. But again, taste buds are completely different. There's some people who think that Weller's is like the greatest of the great. I think another part of it that's hard for me is, as he said, we're huge Buffalo Trace fans. And if you were to sit out the whole Buffalo Trace family in front of me, this just doesn't taste to me the same as my tried and true Buffalo Trace favorites. But, like I said, I like this more than the other Wellers that I have tried. It's not terrible. It's very oaky. Like, it tastes exactly like it smells to me. The taste and the smell match. And it's odd. That doesn't always happen, but I get it 100%.
So what did you give the taste?
A 2.5.
2.5. I'm gonna have to say it's better than that to me. I would put this, just the taste alone, I'm gonna say 3.5. But then when you get into the finish, I'm gonna go up to a 4. It has a really good finish. It has a long finish for me. I can still taste it, and it's wonderful. And it's giving me good warm hugs.
No.
I like it.
No.
I love it. I really do like it.
I'm probably going to get, first episode, everyone's going to hate it because they're going to be like, what is wrong with this girl? She doesn't like Weller's. I'm just not, I don't know. Maybe I was expecting too much because Weller's has been something the more you learn about bourbon, I mean, this is a staple. This is a staple in everyone's collection. This is one that everyone has to have. This is one that everyone hunts for. I was just a little underwhelmed.
So overall rating on this bourbon, and you're taking into account your bottle and the nose of it, the taste, the finish, everything. Overall, what would you give this bourbon?
Respectfully, a 3 out of 5.
It's not bad. I would
It's
go.
not great, but it's not bad.
I would go probably like a 3.75. It's not there for me enough to get a 4.
No.
And all that has to do with smell. I wasn't super impressed with the smell, but taste I really liked. Finish I loved. The finish of this is my favorite part of it so far.
And my favorite part was actually the smell. I genuinely love the smell of this. It's classic. I don't know how else to describe it. It's a very classic, like, old school smell. I don't know. I think it lives true to its name, antique. It has an antique smell.
To be 107 proof,
it's smooth.
I'm
not supposed to say that.
I don't like the word smooth.
He doesn't like the word smooth. I wasn't supposed. As soon as I said it, I was like, I wasn't supposed to say that.
I would say for 107 proof, it's very friendly.
It is. I would not have known if I did not know that was a 107. I wouldn't have known.
Yeah, I mean it
was very kind. For a 107.
It's very kind to your heart.
It's very kind. We'll say kind instead of smooth.
You were fussing about how hot it was.
I'm still on fire.
See,
I'm
that's
having
that
hot
good
flashes.
finish that I'm talking about.
But it's in my ears.
Oh, it's the good stuff.
I don't want the
good
burning in my ears. It's like clearing out my
Good
sinuses.
stuff. That's that hillbilly
There's
burn.
no burning right here, though. There's none in my chest.
See, I got it all in my chest.
My ears are just on fire. I don't know why. Does anybody know why that happens? If you know, please comment and let me know. Because I think it's weird.
Well, we got a little bit left, so I guess we better throw her back and do the final sip.
All right. Ugh. I'm pushing it.
It was
on
even
three.
better drinking a bigger gulp than it was.
The last drink tasted better than the first one.
Yeah.
I should have put a couple dabs of water in it. I like taking just a couple of
I'm
drops.
going to change my score. It's now a 3.80.
You can't go back on. You put it up 0.05 points. So,
It's my show. I can do what I want.
If you do not have any in your repertoire, buy a bottle of limestone distilled water. It's available at all of your local liquor stores. You get it in a
Not
bottle.
all. You got to think.
Okay, maybe
People
not all of
outside
them.
might not
Do I
be.
have a bottle right here behind me? I do. Let me show you what this looks like. So this is limestone mixing water. Limestone is important because, as you may or may not know, one of the key ingredients to a good Kentucky straight bourbon is limestone water. It's just a pure, more unfiltered cut of water. But if you take a drink of bourbon and it's a little too stingy,
But now, this isn't pure.
no, it's
This is limestone filtered.
right.
So it's just as good.
So where I grew up, my
It's just as
grandparents had a real limestone well in their house. They did not have city running water. They had limestone well water. And Jim Beam sat right next to their house. There's a reason why they use limestone in bourbon. But just a couple of drops of this in your bourbon will take just a little bit of that burn out of your eardrums.
It's not just so much the burn. A lot of people swear against it. The bourbon snobs, as they're called. On certain bourbons, I like I wouldn't even call it like a quarter of a capful.
It's just a couple of drops. Like if
And-
you have like
and
a
it'll
medicine
really
dropper, just a couple
bring
drops.
the flavor out.
It changes the complexity
Yeah,
and the flavor profile
so
completely.
a lot of times when I'm trying a new bourbon, I also like to do a double take with another pour, and then I'll add a little water and get some more of those flavors out. And sometimes I might even throw an ice cube or two in it just to see if I might like it cold. You got to experiment with it. There's no rule book that says you just have to drink it neat. Don't let anybody tell you that, or anybody say that you're not drinking it right, because they're really going to be mad here in a second when we make a cocktail with 107.
My favorite. I'm sure it'll immediately go from being a 3 to me to a 5.
Yeah.
And there's nothing wrong with that. I'm still enjoying a good Weller's, but we're doing something really cool with it, and there's nothing wrong with that.
Okay. We're going to make cocktails
Yay, my favorite part.
using the bourbon that we just tried.
This is my favorite cocktail ever.
This is one that it's pretty much the only cocktail that I'll drink. I like this.
Sure.
It's not too sweet, because that seems like if I drink a lot of sweet cocktails, I get bad headaches. So
Right.
it's not super sweet. I feel that pretty much every bourbon that we use has shined through this drink.
It has.
So better the bourbon, the better the cocktail, in my opinion. Send your hate mail straight to me for using a better bourbon to make. Everybody always says, oh, use some, $15
No.
dirt cheap bourbon. Better bourbon will make a better cocktail. I promise you. Just try it.
It'd be amazing.
Uh,
Now, with that being said, too, touching again on my wine aficionado-ness, which is non-existent. For this particular one tonight, we're using the Cupcake Black Forest. This is a drier, dark red wine. We have also made this with a slightly sweeter red wine, and it's good. I love a good sweet red wine. I'm normally not even a fan of dry red wines. But what I like about this particular one with a deep oak flavored bourbon is the smokiness in this really complements this. And so you want something that complements and doesn't overpower. So again, getting away from it not being too sweet, your choice of red wine you'll see as he makes it. It's a very small amount that goes into it, but you're gonna taste it on your palate. So use a good red wine. Use a red wine that tastes good to you because you want it to complement your bourbon really well. So this is a very strong red wine, but I think it's great with your stronger, higher proof bourbons. It stands up well to it without competing.
True. So what you're going to need, obviously you're going to need a shaker.
Shake it like a shaker.
I need the lid to that too, please. So the ingredients for this is lemon juice, a simple syrup. You can make your own or store-bought. It really doesn't matter either way. The red wine, bourbon of your choice. You're going to need an egg. Yes, I said an egg. Ice, and a cup. It's fairly easy to make. If for some reason you do not like the red wine, you can leave it out. You could drink this without the red wine, and I forget what they call it. It's still got the frothiness of the egg on top. They call it something, I'm not 100% sure. Or you could even leave the egg out. Leave the egg out, leave the red wine out, then you pretty much got a bourbon sour.
Right. But don't do that. Try it this one time.
Yeah, try it this way.
Just one time for the one time. The egg white does magical things to your bourbon.
And you know, when I first made this, she was kind of off-put by the egg white. And it does look disgusting and going in this drink, but the froth that it makes on top, and then it mixes with the red wine, and then when you sip it, you get the red wine, the froth, the bourbon. It's really good. It's really good.
And my favorite thing for him to do, and it's not his favorite at all, so he very rarely does it. He's obviously not doing it for this demo. I love some orange zest in this. He doesn't like the orange. I love the orange zest.
It makes it too sweet. And this if you like it real sweet, take your
really
orange.
Doesn't.
Take your orange and
zest it. Just take the peel on the outside.
Take just the peel. You can zest it and rub it around the rim, and then put it in the drink.
The
you can cut a whole like an orange wedge and slice it, put it in there. Whatever you want to do. It's so good. I think it makes it too sweet for me.
I love it.
So therefore, I don't do it. So let's get started. So we're gonna take our Weller Antique 107, 2 ounces of bourbon. You could cut this down to 1 ounce. You could go up to 3 ounces, I guess, if you want, depending on how strong you want it. But 2 ounces is about right.
It's about perfect.
Where I like it. So we do 2 ounces of whatever bourbon you want.
So good.
And then we do 1 ounce of lemon juice. So that should give us 3 ounces in our cup total between the bourbon and the lemon juice. Then you want to do 3/4 of your simple syrup. A lot of people like to make their own simple syrup so they can make it as sweet as they want.
My mom loves to make her own simple syrup. She swears up and down that that's the better way to do it. I don't have time.
You could do a full ounce of this if you wanted to. I just do 3/4 because I think it makes it just a little bit less sweet.
I think the 3/4 is perfect.
That's what I like. Now on your egg, I think you can buy just egg whites.
But we've never done it that way before.
But I don't want to do it that way because I want to do it old way.
You just never know.
You just never know. Never know what you're getting.
I have eaten egg whites. Like, I have made eggs with just plain egg whites, but I don't know. I'm not sure that the frothiness would be the same, and you want a really high viscosity frothiness.
I think they actually make a tool to where you can do these and it'll separate them, but I'm too cheap. So I'm doing it the old way.
We've had too much bourbon to buy an egg separator.
I do it with a, I don't know, it's a strainer spoon.
It's just a giant strainer spoon that I had in my drawer.
Anyway.
So we just double up on the teamwork here.
Yep, it usually takes 2 people.
If you use the egg separator, I don't know. Amazon sells some fancy ones. I saw them, but honestly, the functionality of it looked identical to what we're doing right now.
So what I do is I crack it and I kind of put my thumbs in it, kind of hold that yolk back, and I just get
no eggshells,
the good stuff out of there.
No egg yolks, just the white.
Sometimes you kind of gotta roll it around and get her to
finagle it a little bit.
To all drip off. There it goes right there.
You want a lot of good egg white, as much as you can get.
Just about there.
Even the snotty part.
Now, if you're making this for yourself or your significant other, you can finger all in it. But if you're making it for somebody else, you might want to find a better way to do this.
Fingering my cocktail.
So you're not, putting your fingers all in what you're about to serve them.
Or just wear gloves.
Or wear gloves.
Wear gloves.
Fair enough.
Doesn't have to be fancy though. You just pour all that egg white in there.
Yep.
Get it all down in there.
And As far if you could do a little
Healthy.
less egg white, or you could do all the egg white. I mean, it's totally up to you. You can experiment with this drink. I don't really think you could mess it up, to be honest with you.
But the frothiness, like you have to, I think to fully understand what's happening with the egg white, you have to try it. And once you try it with the full egg white, you're never going to want to do it differently because it makes your bourbon creamy. It's insane.
With all the ingredients in there, which was 2 ounces of bourbon, 1 ounce of lemon juice, 3/4 of an ounce of simple syrup, and the egg white, I'm at like 5 3/4 ounces in the cup.
It's about perfect.
So that's about perfect. You want to put you a couple pieces of ice in there, and that's going to help mix. Plus, it's going to chill it.
It breaks up that egg white.
And it breaks up the egg white. Really
Gets
does.
it beat up in there.
All right. So what we're going to do, you're going to shake this up. You want to shake it pretty good because you want to get that egg to really...
You want it frothy. Imagine if you were beating the egg whites to make like a meringue, or you're making something and you want to make those stiff egg white peaks. You're kind of going for the same thing here. So you want to make sure you really shake it up good.
And you'll feel that top start to like frost over and get cold. That's when you know you got it chilled real good.
So yummy. You have no idea.
Okay. That should be good. And I like to take a couple pieces of ice in my cup. Even though it's cold, I still like a little jiggle in my cup.
Little jiggle in the cup. Ah, do you see that consistency when that came out of there? We should have slow-moed that pour.
It honestly almost looks like eggnog.
It does.
It really does.
It does.
But I know you probably can't see it on the camera, but all this frost is going to float to the top, and then you'll see it. It's almost like the head of a beer, like when a foam on a beer.
Mm-hmm. It separates.
Do not rake it off like you would on a head of a beer. 'Cause
you
it's
want all of that.
Some of the best.
All of that.
Did we find my big spoon?
No, I thought you were just going to pour it with this.
Okay, I can just do it with this. Normally what I would do was I take a spoon and I kind of angle it over it and try to pour the wine over the top of it. And if you do it right, I don't know if you guys ever seen like a tequila sunrise, how it'll have the red ring around it to where it just stays on the top. That's kind of what you want to do with this. Sometimes it'll go a whole lot deeper and go down to the bottom. It really doesn't matter. It's going to taste good all the same.
It's just for looks.
Just for looks.
Just fanciness.
Really all it is.
He loves making fancy looks.
As far as measuring, I never measure. I think if you actually look up recipes for this, it calls for like a ½ ounce. But I do it my grandma's way, which is just throw it in there and see. And I've never messed it up.
Trial and error.
I've never messed it up yet.
Sometimes I ask for a little extra wine on the top, but it's so pretty. Oh, see the way... Oh, look, it's doing it perfect because he's pouring it over the top of the ice cube, so you can see all of the wine has stayed right at the top.
I'll give them a close up here. See if
It's
I can do it
beautiful.
without messing it up.
It's perfect. Look at that.
You can see that.
Ah,
You got,
that's
of course,
so
your whole
beautiful.
mixtures in the bottom, then it comes up, then you got your red wine sitting on the second layer, and then that's your egg froth on the top.
That's amazing.
And it is good. I'll let you do the honors.
So good. This is my favorite.
See if you can taste the bourbon in it.
Oh, yeah.
Do you...
You still taste the bourbon.
Which, it's going to knock your smell out. You're not going to be able to smell this
No.
and do a smell test, but...
No.
Do you... What was your... When you did just the neat... Your smells... Or, excuse me, your taste. Are you getting that same taste, or is it diluted in the cocktail?
Here's the thing. It's not diluted. I don't want to use the word diluted. What I think that I am able to do with the cocktail is to truly taste that bourbon without it setting my face on fire. I'm not distracted by the burn. I'm not distracted by the hug. I can taste. That still tastes like oak barrel to me.
It's good. It's good.
It's so good. But I can truly enjoy the actual flavor profile of that bourbon. That's what we're saying. Making a cocktail with it, that doesn't mean that you're covering up the taste of your bourbon. A good quality bourbon, its flavor profile is still going to shine through in something like this.
I agree.
This one tastes totally different than if we were to make this with one of our lesser expensive, still amazing bourbons. But for example, we make this a lot with Larceny because we love Larceny.
Yeah.
Not taking anything away from Larceny. Honestly, one of my top 10 favorite bourbons of all time.
We'll do an
I
episode
love it.
on Larceny because it is
I
one
love
of our
it.
favorites.
I love it.
And And in my opinion, hands down, Larceny makes some of the best cocktail bourbon.
Best. And honestly, I think for under $25, I don't think you'll find a better bourbon.
No.
Larceny is number one for sure.
Especially if you get the higher proof.
It's
really
fantastic. But if you were to make this with Larceny, not to take anything away from that amazing bourbon, flavor profile is going to be totally different. You still get that deep, you still get a little hug, but now it's down here in my throat where I wanted it to be in the first, I wanted it in my throat.
And
the
you see,
first time.
even though we've been drinking on it, your line's still there.
Still perfect.
So like when you're
Still
drinking
beautiful.
that, you're getting the froth off the top, you're getting a little bit of red wine, and then you've got your bourbon mix coming up in under it.
And
so you get a lot of flavors at once.
So much. And because this is not a super sweet red wine, this is not a super sweet cocktail. It really isn't.
It's really not.
It's very, it would be more in your semi-sweet. So this is not a super sweet. It's not a real dry. This is more of a semi-sweet cocktail. So I think you would still find this appealing to a palate that doesn't like super fruity. This is not a pina colada. This is not a tequila sunrise. This is not a Hawaiian punch. This is still a very strong bourbon cocktail. We are still paying respects to the quality that Weller is. We're just giving you a different way to drink it because not everybody can drink bourbon neat all the time. It's not something that I could do all the time.
Sometimes I don't want to.
Sometimes you just don't want to. You want to do it differently.
I'd say 95% of the time I'm drinking my bourbon neat. And sometimes I'm just like, I want something different. And this is my go-to. So any guys out there that's worried about dropping your man card, try this drink.
It's so good.
It's not fruity. It's not super sweet. And
it's not a Band-Aid or a cover-up.
You will get the bourbon flavor.
You will shine through. And I think it's important to know, some people think that because they don't drink bourbon on the rocks or they don't just shoot bourbon straight, that they can't enjoy bourbon. And that's not true. There's so many different ways to love bourbon. I don't think there's a wrong way to do it. And I don't want anyone to feel like they shouldn't drink it or they shouldn't go down the bourbon aisle because they just can't drink it straight out of the glass. You can still show respect to the flavors and the traditions of these bourbons, just jazzed up a little bit. We're just jazzing it up. That's it.
Well, also, I'm a big fan of Whiskey Tribe or Whiskey Vault. If you guys ever watch those, we're fans. We're big fans.
Huge fans
of a lot of YouTubers. And,
love it.
And I don't care if we blew up to 1 million subscribers, we would still watch other people because they do what we love. And the Whiskey Tribe, I'm gonna give them a shout out because I've learned a lot from those guys.
A lot.
And if you're wanting to venture a little bit more outside the bourbon and go into the scotches and stuff, they're the perfect guys.
Not a fan.
And what you was talking about how you drink it, there's no wrong way to drink it. The thing that they say, and I'm gonna back them up 100%. The best way for you to enjoy this bourbon is any damn way you please.
Yes.
So if you like it neat, if you like it with water, if you like it with if you're enjoying it,
it's all that matters.
Who cares what anybody else thinks?
It's all that matters.
So let's get that whiskey or bourbon snob crap out of here, and let's share some drinks, no matter how you like
however
it.
you want to.
And also, I want to talk about. I'm a big cigar smoker.
One of my favorite ways to enjoy bourbon is with a good cigar. I love them too.
And I know a lot of people that enjoy bourbon and love a good cigar, and I try my best to pair up good cigars with good bourbon. Mm-hmm. And sometimes it's hard because you don't want to be drinking on a bourbon and have to light 5 cigars to figure out which one you like, which is what I've done.
In some cases, it's easy. If you're drinking Maker's Mark, get a Maker's Mark cigar. If you just so happen to be one of the few enjoying some Pappy Van Winkle, get the Pappy cigars. They're amazing.
You don't have to match it up like that.
Love them. I like cohesiveness.
What I do is, depending on what I'm drinking, so this is wheated. So, and of course another one that we always drink, it might be rye heavy. Anything that's like real rye heavy, I like. They're from Drew Estates. They're called the Java Collection.
Good.
They're really good. They're pretty much a coffee cigar, if you want to say it that way. They smell like it. They somewhat taste like it.
They smell lovely.
I like those with the more rye bourbons. Anything that's like super rich in the flavor, I'm not going to say an artificial flavor, but like a coffee flavor. a real high citrus flavor in your cigars. I really like with the rye. When it comes to weeded, I like something a little bit more plain, like just tobacco. Just a good tobacco. A good Romeo and Juliet goes really good with a weeded bourbon.
They make such good cigars.
And then also, here's the Javas. This is the Java Latte, and I have a couple more Javas over there from Drew Estate. I really like those with more of the rye bourbons.
So good.
They also go good with a cocktail if you like a cocktail. But I do love a good cigar with my bourbon.
They change the smell of the bourbon too.
If you guys have any questions for us whatsoever, we will answer them. We'll try our best to answer them.
Or if you want us to review something, if you have questions about something you want to see, we are all about trying every kind. I don't care the price range. I don't care where it's at. If you know where to find it, let us know. We'll go hunt for it. That's our favorite thing to do.
Yeah, we love bourbon hunting. That's one of our favorite things. And we do it together. You know, we get together and we'll go out, and all day long we'll literally hit every liquor store. And it's not always about finding the unicorns or the hard. No. Sometimes we'll run across stuff and be like, I haven't seen this before. It'll be a name that we haven't heard, a bourbon that we haven't heard. And I picked up 2 today that I haven't heard of that we're gonna try. But we're going to roll off of here, guys. Just remember to like, subscribe.
Tune in next time.
And we're going to try to drop 1 a week. Maybe 1 every 2 weeks. This depends on how good I am at editing. I am an old country boy, and it's going to take me a while to edit.
He's also OCD.
I am OCD, so it's going to take me a while.
This is going to be perfect before it hits the airwaves.
It won't be perfect. It'll be as good as I can get it. I guarantee you that. But hey, guys, drink responsibly.
Enjoy bourbon.
Always. Enjoy bourbon. And I'm going to add to it is the best way to enjoy bourbon is with a friend. Thanks, guys.
See ya.